So coming to the Beck Theatre on the 30th of September, Paul Zerdin, who we're going to find out all about this crazy show, Paul Zerdin Hands Free. Paul's on the line now. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm looking forward to finding out what this show's all about. So give us a few pointers. There's some crazy puppets, I know that.
Well, I'm a ventriloquist, and it's a comedy show. It's a stand-up comedy show which uses ventriloquism and puppets, and I do some stand-up. And I've got lots of crazy characters, like you say. I've got a kid character called Sam, who's like a sort of a Muppet version of Bart Simpson. I've got his younger brother, who's a baby. There's their grandpa, Albert, who's 95 years old. He's a bit of a nutty character. He says what he likes, really, and he doesn't care because he's 95. He talks about all sorts of things. He's one of my favourite characters. They're all inspired by the Muppets, really. They have got a Muppety kind of look. I've also got Roger the bodyguard, who's loosely based on a couple of security guys that I worked with when I was in America. After I did America's Got Talent, I went and worked in Las Vegas and had my own show at Planet Hollywood. And then I toured America and Canada. And when you perform in these casino resorts and you're in these big theatres, when you're staying in the hotel, you get these big, burly American security guys that walk you down from your hotel room to backstage before you go on. And so I was always making notes in my mind about these different characters. And I thought one day I'm going to have some sort of character based on these guys. So this guy's Roger. He's American. He's paranoid, and he thinks that there's someone out to get us during the show. So he's trying to interrogate the audience. And then there's also an urban fox who has accidentally come on tour because he snuck into my case before we left because he could smell my sandwiches. He's now in the tour. So it's like a weird dysfunctional family, and I'm kind of at the helm.
It sounds like a typical bonkers British show that British audiences will probably love. We love a bonkers show.
Well, I hope so. The characters have all been in the show before, and we're all back with new things to talk about. You know, I talk about lockdown, and I was on my own during lockdown, the first lockdown, and I was watching a lot of cookery shows, like I think the rest of the country. And there was one in particular, I don't know what it was, I was watching reruns of a show that had a very patronising voiceover that always tickled me, and I started to copy it, and I started to do it around the house, commenting on whatever I was doing during the day. And then I started doing it like I was doing my own Mickey take of this cookery TV show. And when I was cooking in the kitchen, I would be doing my own voiceover. Then I started doing it on FaceTime and Skype with my family and my friends, and they were laughing at it. So I thought, well, I could do this in my show. So I started doing it as my own voiceover, narrating everyday life. But I started to do it as a ventriloquist, so that when the lockdown was eased, I went out and about and started to do it. So I described my day. You know, it'd be like, it's Monday morning. Zerdin is in a coffee shop. He's at the end of a very long queue. At the other end of the queue is a man who can't decide whether to order a skinny cappuccino or a mocha chocolate latte. Zerdin is slowly losing the will to live. And now this voiceover is part of my show and comments on the show as we go along. So there's lots of good things that have come out of the lockdown period, which has been quite a difficult time for some people, particularly for us in live entertainment, because, you know, we weren't able to perform. And I have never not performed. I am really lucky. From the moment I left school, I went into showbiz, and I've never not worked. And if I have not worked, it's been because I've chosen to go on holiday or take a bit of time off. But when you're told you can't work and venues are shut, that's the most terrible thing for live entertainment. But I'm pleased to say I am back on the road, and venues are open, and people are going to come and see my show. I know that because we've already sold some tickets, so I can't wait. I'm so excited to get back on the road.
Tell us about performing in America and how that differs from British audiences. I bet there's some notes you made about some audiences in America.
Well, I was always used to doing an American audience because I'd worked on cruise ships around the world to American crowds. So I knew that my material worked, and you had to just change words here and there because they have different words, different names for things sometimes. So that when I won America's Got Talent and I went and had my own show in Las Vegas at Planet Hollywood, I felt fairly confident that the material would work. What you don't factor in is the sort of people that go and see the shows in Las Vegas, because it's like a melting pot of all these different kinds of people from all over America and around the world. So you've got people that will book tickets to come and see your show because they've seen you on NBC on America's Got Talent. Then you've got people who've been given comps by the hotel and the casino resort. So they've got free tickets, so they think, oh, I might as well come and see this, even if they don't know who you are or what you do. Then you've got people who've come in drunk because they've just staggered in maybe by accident. Then you've got people that have come in drunk because they've lost their entire life's earnings on blackjack and they are depressed. They are depressed and drunk. So you've got like a real mishmash of an audience to try and get your head around. And that took a bit of time to be able to make it all work for everyone. But I managed to master it in the end. But it was a tedious process. But I got there in the end, and probably one of the most amazing experiences of my career to be able to headline my own show in Las Vegas. So it was quite something. But I have to say, I much prefer touring. I've toured America on the back of America's Got Talent. I've toured Canada, but I live in London. You know, I love traveling, but I love coming home. So to be able to tour the UK, which I'm doing now, you know, I feel very fortunate, especially at a time when things have been really, really tricky for live shows, and you know, just getting people to come back out again. I've been doing shows over the summer in Blackpool, trying out the material for the tour, for this hands-free tour, and the reaction from the audiences has been absolutely amazing. You know, you can tell people are absolutely gagging for it, and they want to see some live entertainment.
On the subject of internet videos, you have a series called Sponge Weekly. What happens there?
So during the first lockdown last year, I was running a lot. The gym shut, and so I thought I better get out and start running. And I've always loved to run, but I ran every day, and I would do probably between 8 and 10K a day. And I'd come back with all these ideas bubbling in my head, and I wrote all these ideas down. Then I spoke to one of my oldest friends, writing friends, and we put together the idea for Sponge Weekly, and then I produced it over the summer last year in a studio, all socially distanced. And it was basically a sketch show with me and my characters. And you can see it on my Paul Zerdin YouTube channel. It's called Paul Zerdin's Sponge Weekly, and it's 6 episodes. And it was really fun to do, and it all came from lockdown. So even though there's been a big period over the last year and a half where I haven't been able to perform and work like I normally do, I've been able to be unbelievably creative. So I was very conscious. I like to have a structure in my day. I like to know what I'm doing. I don't sit around doing nothing. I'm always thinking of ideas. And I thought, right, okay, let's put these ideas into some sort of thing and make it into something. So that's how Sponge Weekly came about.
Fantastic. Right, so once again, we can see you on the 30th of September at the Beck Theatre in Hayes. Tickets from becktheatre.org.uk. Thanks for joining us, Paul. That's great.
My pleasure. Thanks, Steve.